Good morning. Two hands here to go through. Hand number one is pocket nines at a 10 NL game. So we have a mid position player, hijack, open raises to 3 big blinds, and it's on me. We can, I think folding is probably our worst option. So we can call or we can raise. This player is loose. He's playing 31-25. If we look at his raise first in stat, this is the first time that he has raised, but again, we're only dealing with 16 hands. So what kind of hands is he probably doing this with? He's probably doing this with that 16%, maybe something like that. Coming in for a raise, that's 18%. Maybe he has the small pocket pairs, maybe he doesn't, but right now, when you look at his pre-flop raise, he has raised a bit, but it's been, he hasn't had 3 raise first in. He's 3-bet once out of 1 opportunity, and that must mean he is raising limpers. So raise with previous limpers, he has 2 out of 7. He could be raising with solid hands like this, or he could be just trying to raise with isolation. So I think we're going to leave that range. Pocket nines here are going to actually be pretty good against this range. And the question is, if we call, we're going to keep all of these hands in his range, but we have to assume we're going to get face a C-bet. 50%, 1 out of 2, he's C-bet. Any overcard to our nines is going to be scary to us. We'll probably have to call at least once and see what he does on the turn. Hope the turn is low. I'm not against raising here. I think raising is going to fold out a lot of these cards and still get these pocket pairs to call. I think decision to call versus raise depends on these other players. Smaller cards, so let's say if I had pocket fives, I think we can probably lean more towards just calling. But with pocket nines, it's almost strong enough to where you should be looking to raise. So we can look at the button. He's playing 50-13 over 16 hands. He looks to be a pretty loose player. Same thing with the small blind, and same thing with the big blind. So it's one of these things where if I limp here, if I call, I'm going to probably get one or more of these players to call behind. But if I raise, then I think I'm going to probably get them. It puts a lot more pressure on them to fold. And we'll probably get heads up if I don't win the pot just outright. So in this situation, I think we have a plan. If we just call here, we're looking to set mine or flop an over pair. I think that's what we're looking for. If we raise, I think it's much more playable. So what did I do here? I just called, and we had both small blind and big blind called. So small blind's paying 44.2, and I think overall they're probably calling same type of range. Probably your aces, your offsuit connectors. We don't have a huge number of hands here, but 86% VPIP in the small blind. I think we're going to go even more. I think we're going to go big range here. Probably all kings, something like that. This player is probably getting a decent price. He's definitely not coming in. I don't think he's coming in as widely as the small blind. So, before with the small blind, he didn't raise, so I'm going to take out those. This guy also didn't raise, so I think his range is going to probably be a tighter and stronger range. I do think I'm going to leave in all of the offsuit aces. I think that's probably a tighter range for him. set mining with the pocket pairs. He would have 3-bet with ace king queens plus, and then just calling along. And he could be much wider too. It's just kind of hard to know. So we see a flop. Flop is 9-8-3. So 9 of spades, 8 of clubs, 3 of diamonds. Definitely, it's a good card, good hand, good flop for us. And it's not just because we hit trips. It's also good because I think this player especially, could have picked up definitely draws. So a 9x, 8x, open-ended straight draw, gut shot draws. I think there's a lot of hands in his range that he will now call with. Villain, the original pre-flop raiser, looks at this and he's more likely going to have overpair or overcards. So checks all around, checks to me. I think this is too good of an opportunity to miss, because what we're trying to do is build a pot. I don't think we want to keep it small. Looking at stack sizes, so he's only has 51, he has 63. This guy has all of us covered. So I think our question is, what do we bet? I think betting small. I guess we can do half pot, probably 2/3, or pot is probably my three sizings. This guy, I think once he checks, we're going to get rid of the set and 2-pair and probably overpair and top pair. I think definitely he would have just went ahead and made the C bet. We'll include middle pair, bottom pair, no made hand, and so forth in his checking range. So you can see we've got this guy crushed. It's this guy, it's these blinds that I think are most likely to call. So they checked, and I think the question is, would making a pot size bet affect their call? And quite frankly, I'm going to guess that based on how loose they are probably static in some of their calls. So I don't think they'll call overcards just with, to half pot bet, that then fold them to a pot size bet. I think that if they're going to call open-ended straight draw, they're going to probably call pot size bet just as frequently as if they had, a half pot size bet. So I think we should definitely scale up a little bit. If we bet 12 and he calls, that's going to leave like 40 big blinds, and we're going to basically be a pot size bet then on the turn to get all in. It's going to be a little bit harder for 7 because he has so much more, but we could do like, if we did pot size bet there, that gets us down to, let's say, 55. We could do like half pot and then the rest on the river, or if he bets, we can easily shove, or we can actually shove over bet the pot. So I did bet pot size bet, and this guy calls. So I think we're going to give him middle pair, probably not pocket pair below or bottom pair. I don't think he's going to call those, but I think he's going to be calling these draws. This other villain calls, and I do think middle pair. I think middle pairs has to be a part of like the gut shots. Gut shot draws. So I think we're looking at those two. And then what is this guy? Villain fold. So I do think he probably had one of these overpair offsuit cards that just missed. So 2 hearts comes out. When we look at distributions, you can see now that he is, we've got him crushed. There's really sets are less than 3%, and if they have sets, they have sets. I mean, obviously that's like the great part. That's what we're hoping for. I do expect him to check his entire range unless he has possibly a set or 2 pair, in which case he's probably going to bet just to try to get money in the pot. I think the worst thing for a set or 2 pair now is to check and have it check through. And same thing with villain 7. So once villain 7 bets, I think I think we're going to give away top pair. I mean, top pair could be in his range. I think we can, let's say 50%. So there we go. Ah, darn it. We want 50%. There we go. We'll give him 50% chance that he has top pair. I don't think he's doing it with the middle pair, and at this point, I don't think he's doing it with the draw at all. So I think he definitely has pair over pair, and when you look at it, you know, the set 7%, we have the set covered, and really we haven't taken out the nines. So if we take out the nines, 9 of clubs and 9 of diamonds, you can see how it changes. So I think over pair, 10s and jacks could have called, 2 pair possibly. So definitely, once he bet that much, I think it's easy for us to get all in and not even worry about this player. If he comes along, great. He was going to call anyways. I think our plan now is just to get all in, because I think anything that he was betting, he's going to call. So definitely calls, and then ace of hearts comes out. We don't have anything to bet, and he shows kings, which is a lot stronger. So I would have assumed he would have raised with kings, and maybe he does. Maybe he only 3-bets with aces. But I think when we looked at it, I don't think top pair was a 50% chance that he does it. It's really over pair and 2 pair, and we've got those hands crushed. So yeah, obviously we're not going to fold this hand. I think we did an okay job. I think we bet pot. I think we got paid. I think that pot bet was a little bit better because it sets up the turn. Anyone that's going to call will be hard pressed to fold on the turn. Whereas if we bet half pot and let's say the turn was a 7 or a 10, it's going to be, we might get a fold from hands that would have called us, called more on the flop. All right, so this is hand number 1. Let me close things out and get hand number 2. All right, hand number 2 is ace 5 of hearts. This is a 10 NL game. So under the gun raises. He's playing 23-9. I think he is going to be a pretty tight range since he is under the gun. If we look at early position, you can see his raise first in's only 14%. So when we look at 14%, I think we're dealing with something that's going to be pretty tight. Could be something like that. That's 9.5%. 14% is 23 over 164. Now he's under the gun, so we do have to account for that. Like early position includes under the gun +1, under the gun +2. Let's see if we have any information. Limp a call to raise with ace queen suited. That could be tricky. Ace 4. Well, he could be limping after limpers. 3-bet range, queens, ace 10 suited, ace 4. 8 times he's done that. I think this, based on his stats, this might be appropriate. 11%. It's not 14 or 13%, but I think we're accounting for the fact that he is first to act. Could be a few more, maybe a few more suited connectors. Could be maybe some of these suited aces, low suited aces. It's just kind of hard to tell. He is, I think I would add suited aces more if this number was higher or closer to the VPIP. So now it's to me with ace 5. What do I do? You can see against that range, ace 5 is pretty low. Ace blocks a lot, so I think our decision, I think fold. You can still fold, but I think ace 5 is a playable hand. We should try to play these hands. I'm not really worried about him coming along and calling. He's a tight player. It's not very likely that he's going to call a 2-bet from the button. I do have 23% 3 out of 13, but overall his stats look like he's a tight player. I would be concerned if I call that he's going to call, and probably he's going to call, and then we're going to go multi-way with ace-5, which I guess is okay. We're trying to flop either the straight or the flush. It doesn't really happen that much. And we do have to be careful if we flop an ace, because our kicker is going to be pretty low. So I think in the cutoff we could easily 3-bet here, and we probably should 3-bet. So if we 3-bet, what hands is he going to get rid of? His fold to 3-bet's only 17%. 1 out of 6. He hasn't encountered it, so my guess is when I 3-bet, he's probably going to call with almost all of his range here. He may give up 9, 10, Jack 10, or maybe King Jack, but it looks like if he's going to raise with this tight range, he's probably going to continue with it, and we block all of these aces. So if an ace flops, it's a good chance that we might actually have him beat. If we 3-bet and he comes over the top and 4-bets, I think we have a pretty easy fold on our hands. His 4-bet range is aces, and especially at these micro limits, 4-bets typically mean aces, kings, possibly ace king. So by raising, I think we do apply pressure and get them to fold. If they call, I think that's just a bonus. Again, with the ace, we block a lot. So, and suited ace definitely gives us some playability post flop. So I think I would probably 3-bet here. I think that's probably what my play should have been. I didn't. I called, and then villain 4 raised. So the question is, what is villain 4 raising with? He has a 3-bet stat of 4%. So small blind. When we look at pre-flop raise, this is going to be the first time that he has 3-bet that. He could have a wide range. He could be trying to take it down, or he could be trying to build a pot. It's basically a min raise. Min raises here are, I think aces or ace king could easily be a min raise. It's just trying to sweeten the pot. Not really trying to fold, and unfortunately we don't have a whole lot of hands, 73 hands, and not a lot of information. We will see that his c-bet's actually pretty low, so I think if he c-bets, he's hit the board. If he checks, he missed, and it gives us an opportunity to steal the pot potentially. So I kind of think that, based on the bet sizing, that he probably doesn't have a huge hand. So I'm going to say kings plus an ace king are out. And that means he's going to be playing something maybe like this, and it could be even tighter. It could maybe just be queens, jacks, tens, and nines. Now I'd expect those hands to be raising a lot more to try to induce folds, but you never know what with some people, and maybe he's tricky and does the high cards as the min bet, and then big bets with these. So villain 6 calls. I do think he's probably going to call his entire range. So I was kind of expecting this, and then I called. I think it's just too juicy now. You can see that I only need 12% equity. I do think I have 12% equity, and I have a plan, because if he checks, then I think he opens up the possibility of folding. So the flop comes ace 8 5, which connects with me pretty hard. So he bets 14. He makes the c bet. So I think at this point he's connected. So I think it's going to be top pair plus. I don't think he would bet with nines, tens, jacks, or queens. He could. We'll leave that in there. I bet he would have just check called with the flush draws. I kind of think he would have checked with the nines, tens, jacks, and queens, but we'll leave it in right now. So I think we're ahead. We just need to keep low cards. Villain 6 folds. I think that kind of means he probably had king, queen, king, jack, queen, jack. Maybe he's folding pocket pair too, so he didn't connect with the ace. So let's get back to this. Well, looks like I accidentally got rid of that range that we were working with. So let's get it back. We said it was something like this. I think so. I don't think we had those. I think that it's something like that. So we've got him there, and he was going to be betting those and not so much the flushes since he c-bet, and he c-bet so large. So I think that's kind of like pocket pair below top pair. Man, he bet a pot. I would think he would have bet a little bit less with the queens, jacks, tens, and nines. So our question: should we call or should we raise? He bet. He likes the same. I think we call. I think he's going to be betting again. I mean, he c-bet 0 times when he's in position, 20% when he's out of position. But then of those times that he c-bet out of position, he's fired the turn 100%. So I'm thinking ace king, ace queen. Well, ace queen. We'll see if he has ace king in his range. I raise, and I don't necessarily like that, but at the same time, we're getting the money in because if the spade gets there, I think it's going to freeze the action. But I think we call and just, I think if we call here, we've got 14.8 times 3. The pot's going to be 44. He's going to probably bet again, and that's going to allow us to get all in, and he will probably call at that point. We are risking a spade because if a spade gets there, that could freeze him up. But I think I think that's a viable plan. So I raise and he calls, and then the 6 of spades, and I think that's the concern, is that on the turn he might have frozen and he might not have bet. So he checks, and now it's to us. What do we do? So I think he could have a flush and he would have checked. I think top pair checks. If he had these pocket pair below top pair, he's going to check. He's afraid of that ace. But when we look at ace 5 of hearts, you can see that we're still ahead. So definitely, I think we should bet. Yeah, well, maybe not definitely. If we bet, what's going to call? Flush is definitely going to call. Is top pair going to call? I bet top pair is going to call, but I bet pocket pair below top pair will not. The flush draw, it would have to be the nut flush draw that he would call, and that would be the ace of spades, ace queen. So I think we already have that in. I don't think pocket pair below top pair is going to call. So if we bet and he calls, we're at 57%. I think we should have just shoved all in here, get the call. Why leave ourselves with a small amount of money left? 10 of clubs doesn't hit, and we should have just, whoops, I take that back. Yeah, we bet enough to put him all in. So yeah, that works. And then 10 of clubs, and he shows ace jack. So I didn't have ace jack in his range. You know, I assumed he wouldn't have bet, but I guess a player like this would. I do think this fits his range. I think how he played it fits. So even though I didn't have ace jack in his pre-flop opening range, I did have this ace queen, ace jack. It's kind of in his range, and he called because of that ace of spades. So as played, I do think we were going to get all in. We were going to get him all in. But if he had, let's say, ace of clubs, let's say, or no, ace of diamonds, and let's say ace of diamonds and jack of clubs, I don't know if he would have called that turn. So, or maybe even led the turn. So I guess my flop raise was okay. All right, so this was hand number 2. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Look tomorrow for a couple more hands.